So probably the most common upgrade for people's streaming setup is a new Facecam. Usually this comes before or after a new microphone or a new streaming PC. But I mean, like I always say, you should only buy a new piece of streaming equipment if you're making money from streaming or if it's going to provide a tangible improvement to your content. But I mean, who am I kidding? We're here on YouTube to talk about buying things that we don't really need. So what I wanted to do is compare different Facecams at different price points and the level of quality you get at each different level. So starting off at the entry level, we have the webcam that pretty much everyone has now, the Logitech C922 or the Logitech C920. Now the C922 starts off at about $100, but the price can kind of vary depending on the stock level. Now at the mid-tier level, we're gonna go with the Panasonic GH5S. I've talked a lot about this camera before, and I know it's a bit pricey at $1,400. There's definitely cheaper options like the Sony 5000 or the A6000, but pretty much if you buy the camera, the lens, and the capture card, it's gonna come out to about $1,000. And at the high end of things, we're gonna talk about the camera that pretty much every video YouTuber is talking about now, the Sony a7S III. Now this comes in at about $3,500, so when you factor in the lens, and Sony lenses can be pretty pricey, it's gonna be about $4,000, about $4,500 once the whole setup is complete. So let's go into the different ways we're gonna test these cameras. So the two different scenarios we're gonna test these cameras in is based on what I feel is kind of like the user journey when you buy your first new professional face camera. So most of the time people will buy a new camera and they'll think like, okay, I've got this amazing pro camera now, everything should look amazing, but they haven't taken into account like how lighting can really affect the image quality. So the first test is gonna be with basic, just room overhead lighting, just flipping a switch on. And the other test is gonna be with a simple key light. And for the cameras themselves, like I think when a lot of people buy their first camera, especially like a, mirrorless camera, they haven't learned things like aperture or ISO or shutter speed and white balance. So we're gonna set the cameras full auto white balance, auto aperture, auto shutter speed, auto ISO, and we're gonna turn off any picture profiles because they likely won't mess with that for a long period of time. So the other thing is how we're setting up the cameras, like the lenses we're using and how we're outputting and capturing them. So I try to keep the focal length the same, so it's prime lenses on both cameras. So a 32 on the GH5S and a 28 on the Sony. And then the cameras are outputting at 1080p, 30 FPS because that's about the maximum that the Logitech webcam can output. And they're both being captured by an X-Capture 1 capture card. It's a USB 3.0 capture card. So pretty standard setup. Anyway, now that we got all the boring stuff out the way, let's take a look at the comparisons between the different cameras. Alright, there you have it. So what did you think of the results? Which camera did you like best? Did the most expensive camera seem worth it? Let me know in the comments and give this video a like if it was helpful in saving you some money, and subscribe if you're about to max out that credit card to get some glorious 4K going. Thanks again for watching. Catch you on the next one.